Every Singer sewing machine needs to be cleaned and maintained by you on a regular basis. I'm going to show you how to do so on this Singer Elite ME457. This is a mechanical machine. If you've got a machine with dials, this will be directly for most Singer sewing machines out there. If you've got a Singer with buttons and a computerized screen, guess what? This part here is all the same. So I'm going to give you some quick tips along the way how to do this quickly, easily, painlessly, and what happens if you don't do it. So keep in mind that if you want a smooth running machine and you want a machine that will be ready for your using of it at any given time, day or night, this is exactly what you need to do. If you haven't cleaned your machine for a while and you're watching this video, you're probably due for a little bit of cleaning. First thing that I want you to do is take off the thread. If you want to even snip your thread at the top and pull it out the needle, this helps so you're not dragging lint and dust up into the machine. You kind of keep it going all out to the same side. And you will want to next take the bobbin out. So everything is super easy. You're going to want to get your brush. That is actually the one that's attached to your seam ripper. This came with the machine. If you don't have a brush, you can use a Q-tip, a makeup brush. I've got one of my favorite ones right here. This is like a wool dust it. As you can see, it doesn't take much for lint to get in a machine, and you have to get in and take it out. And you need a screwdriver. Usually they're flat in with the machines, and that's what you're going to use to start to loosen the two screws of the throat plate. Now, maybe before we do that, we should probably just take off the needle, because just because your hands are in here, and it probably is time to change this needle anyway, so go ahead and take it out, and we'll plan to replace that. Once these screws are a little bit on the looser side, I'll tend to just take my fingers and give them a little twirl until they come out. That's easy. Now, before I get any further, what makes a machine linty or full of lint? So if you're working with cotton fabrics, fleece, denim, flannels, or anything with batting, you're going to find a lot of lint down here. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of get that all out. And the last thing we're going to not do, though, if you have canned air, this is not the place to use it. So repeat after me, no canned air. That just blows more into the machine than out. So please do not use that. And don't blow with your mouth. Don't go, okay, that's not a thing either. So make sure you're always pulling it out. If you've got one of those miniature vacuum attachments that you use to clean your dryer vent out with, those are great for sewing machines. They're like mini crevice tools. That's sucking it out. That's so much better than blowing it in, obviously. Okay, the plate just kind of slides off. And there's one more thing that we're going to take out from here. This is the bobbin case. Now, before I pull this completely out, do you see that little hole down there? Let's look at what is underneath that. And so just give it a little wiggle and it comes up. Now, this is a brand new machine and I haven't really been doing a ton of stitching. But what happens is this area in here starts to collect a lot of lint. So you're going to just get in here. Don't be afraid to really kind of get in there to all the little nooks and crannies. The dust will come out on the brush. If you've got one of these, this just is like the ultimate Swiffer for sewing machines. So you can just go in, give it a spin, and out comes extra lint. Now, I know oil does not come with this machine, but can you see right down in the center, there's almost like, oh, it looks like lint, but it is not. It's actually a wick. And so if you put a couple drops of sewing machine oil down there, it kind of goes to where it needs to go. You and I can do that every, 3 to 5 bobbins and clean out this area. It will make such a difference of the machine. Now, when I had you peek down through that hole is that part there. So even if you think, oh, you know what, I haven't oiled for a little bit, you can do that without even taking this whole thing off. You can put a couple drops of oil down there. That's really the only place that you and I need to kind of maintain and clean. Now, the last thing I want to do is just show you the proper way, because you can get this in incorrectly, what you're looking for to get this in and back to running order. So first off, you kind of see this little pointy ends here. Those are going to face towards the back of the machine. And this little heel, you can kind of see there's a little nub sticking out. That is going to bounce up against this little spring. So when I kind of slide it in, that's part of what I'm looking for. I need to set it down there so it's nice and flush. It might have a little wiggle, not much, but do you see that little nub is now bouncing against that spring? That is correct. Some people will get this in opposite or way over here, and well, that doesn't work at all, and things aren't going to line up. So just kind of work it down in there. As you can see, it's not like a perfect, like put it in and then it stays. You do need to kind of get it till it just wants to drop in like that. I see that little guys touching the spring. I know I'm in there correctly. Next, go ahead and put the throat plate back on. We'll add those little screws in place. We'll definitely put a new needle in and then re-thread the machine. If you have done any extra cleaning and oiling, you might just take a test piece of fabric to do, just sew on the machine and make sure everything got put back correctly and without any issues. That way, you make sure your needle is all the way at the highest position and everything is great. Okay, there you go. Now that those screws, I am going to use the screwdriver to give that a good little twist so those do not loosen while I'm sewing. The vibration could do that. And then again, let's just take a look at we'll do our bobbin next, because people always ask me, well, which way does that bobbin need to go in? The thread does need to come off the left side of the bobbin, but when you drop it in, there is a little picture on the bobbin case door. You can see it there to remind you of just that. When you drop it in, look about 6 o'clock, there's a little groove. Hold your finger on the bobbin. Click to the side. I'm going to just leave this hanging. I'm not going to put the door on just yet, but I am going to quickly thread the machine and put my needle back in. Flat side to the back. Needle threader is great. I'm going to hold this top thread here and then take one full stitch. That will bring my bobbin thread up. Pick up that loop. Put both threads under the foot and to the back. Put the cover back on. Then I'm going to take a piece of fabric. You're going to always see me sewing on 2 layers of fabric. So folding it in half, lowering the presser foot, and then just sewing to make sure everything sounds like it should. So I quickly mentioned about a couple bobbins worth to go in and do the cleaning, especially if you're working on any of those fluffier fabrics. But once a year, so yes, annually, take your sewing machine into a local sewing machine store that offers service, and they will service all the rest of the machine. There's moving parts down here on the side and over the top and down here. There is a lot more that needs to be serviced on a regular basis. So if it has been 2 years, 3 years since you've had your machine cleaned professionally, it's like doing an oil change for your vehicle. I mean, we wouldn't not go past 6 months for getting an oil change these days. And, you know, a year, 2 at the max, have your machine cleaned. That will just keep this in top running condition for years to come. Also, make sure you're using good quality thread, and if you take the time to change your needles and clean this out on a regular basis, your machine is going to love you for a very long time. I hope this has been helpful. You can check out all the video tutorials we've done. We've got links in the description that will put you back at the beginning. You can start binge watching them there or find the link at the end. We also ask that if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, I can keep making free video content for other models that are coming out in the future. Happy sewing, everyone!